Hello, today's 2nd of December 2022, and I'm continuing my series Daily Reality with Alex. And today I would like to speak about a very important topic, according to me, about understanding the construct of reality and why we, the human being, actually are able and are possible to long-term live our experience and understand why the things are happening the way they are happening. So today I would like to speak about archetypal reality. To understand it better, I'm going to go into this allegory where we, the human beings, are entering reality naked through the birth, and then our psychical expressions long-term are developed in such a way that, of course, I spoke about conditioning, but now I would like to speak long-term about the archetypes that already exist there, and we, the human beings, are actually able to choose what type of expression we can have based on our archetypal leanings and what type of archetypes we're willing to clothe ourselves with long-term. I'm going to start with the story from the Bible when the man and the woman ate from the tree, and because they were enticed to go after knowing of good and evil, and only in this way they can be like the gods. And the first thing that happened after they did it, they hid themselves from the presence of God, because actually the man explained that he felt ashamed. And he was ashamed because he was naked. It is very important here to understand that actually what is happening is that we as human beings, long-term in our essence, we are naked. Why this clothing principle emerges still in the beginning, and from the moment we decide to be disconnected, actually we felt naked. There are a lot of things that we can theorize and we can go into storytelling and understanding, but from the archetypal perspective, here for me it is very interesting to understand why it's not possible for us, the human being, and why we feel ashamed, in the sense that when we are naked, we don't feel comfortable, which only means that maybe the man or the woman were feeling not naked before this. And according to me, here it's a very good allegory about all these archetypes that are above layers and layers and layers put over the human expression of the psyche. And here we can see and we can understand long-term what is happening. According to me, the basic archetype for all the human beings towards which we long-term are to lean towards, and which actually all of us have lost, is the so-called God or creator type of archetype, with which we were actually embraced as an archetype before this, while we were in perfect connection. Since today is 2022, and we need to understand our reality, and all of us can go into the old storytelling and think about the different things that the human beings have explored for themselves and are trying to find answers. But the interesting thing here is to understand why we are behaving the way we are behaving, and why actually reality is constructed in this way, that we as human beings, if we take away all our layers, only stay with our essence, we feel in the moment uncomfortable. According to me, if we are naked, we are long-term willing to put different clothes, or in the invisible sense, different archetypes to which we are willing to express ourselves. So the first solution that was made from men as an intervention from the creators is to give him a clothing from a dead animal and to clothe him with a type of skin. And this was a representation of the coming Christ and the coming solution for the human beings, long term, and so on, in order they to be able to move back and to go again into the perfect archetypal expression for each human being. Of course, based on this storytelling about the nakedness and about the clothing, we can go deep into the realm of the unseen and start understanding why it is not possible for any of us to perform and to move into reality without accepting and embracing the different type of archetypes that are out there. And for some reason, in different layers and in different ways of expressing ourselves and based on the different conditions, there are this type of archetypes that are already existing, and the only thing we can do is just to pick up and to choose the different type of archetype through which we are long-term going to express our essence. Of course, our uniqueness, our essence, our limitless being is important, but since this reality that we are presented into is a reality of limitations, we anyhow need to put something that is going to give us some limitation, but also is going to allow us to express different parts of our limitless expression. So this is important for me personally because it's much better than give us a possibility of what exactly we are choosing in reality, and also give us the understanding of why there are so many things. Even the artificial intelligence and all the behavior researchers are seeing that actually man is behaving in some typical behaviors depending on the different leanings. And we know that there are some of us that are more introverts and there are some of us that are more extroverts. But this is on the relationship level. Also, there are archetypes on the different levels of expression. Also, there are archetypes on the different level of expression in the spiritual realm, in the invisible realm, in many different types of relationships that exist in the reality. So basically, what we are doing with our naked essence is to decide what type of clothing are we going to embrace and in what type of archetypal leaning it is most comfortable for us to express ourselves. And of course, long term, if we want to express a much more stronger part of us, we need to change clothing. We need to change archetypal leanings. And it is something which is very deep and it can be used in many different areas of our reality expression, because we cannot experience life without the expression, but we cannot express our core essence without choosing the different type of archetypes. You can tell me, Alex, just give me some more examples about what you are saying and why you think that actually the human beings cannot express themselves so uniquely as nobody else has expressed never before itself. And we see in the movies, in the storytelling, in all the allegories, in the so-called hero's journey, heroine journey, how we, the human beings, have approximately the same type of triggers, the same type of solutions, the same time of storytelling is going all around us. And actually our perceptions, our modeling of how things should look like are approximately the same from the moment man existed till this moment in 2022. And be sure that after so many thousands of years, there are not going to exist any new archetypes from what already are existing, because it is quite normal for the human beings to just choose from what is already available. And according to me, long term, it is important to understand what is our ideal direction as human beings. Of course, a lot of us think that the direction is to go above, to go to what is beyond, and to go to the so-called heavens or different place which is above all of us, to go into the spiritual, to go to the etherical, or whatever are the realms up there. Some of us think, no, the direction is towards the progress of the humanity. We're just staying here in the physical materiality, and we are going to go into so much progress that actually long term, we're going to create such a beautiful reality here on this realm. Some of us think that everything stops after the body is dying. Some of us think that the directions are in whatever type of directions we want to think about, because there are limitless potential for directions, but we need to understand what actually the construct of reality is leading us towards. And it's leading us towards the center, towards the balance, towards the long-term destiny of the humanity of going back to its primary archetype, which is to embrace again and to quote again with the initial archetype of the creator that the human being lost through this storytelling, and why it is constantly and non-stop going into this growth, changing all the time. So, of course, each of us consciously or subconsciously, based, first of all, when we are little children and while we are growing, we are choosing some so-called survival archetype that are helping us to long-term protect our essence. And based on this, we start to express ourselves. Later in life, when we come more into adulthood, we are trying to change, to shift some of the things. If we don't understand reality, it is impossible to take away some of the quotes if we don't go into much more deeper learning and understanding, and only then it is able to change behaviors, to change way of thinking, to change mindset, because now you understand what is the exact type of choices we actually are making. Because we as human beings, that we think that actually during our daily reality we are making the choices. No, the conscious choices are long-term choices that we are choosing to make, and they are constantly then influencing our reality for a much more bigger time. Approximately today, 95% of everything I'm experiencing is based on my long-term choices that I have already made. And of course, there are so many subconscious and survival level choices that I have made that are also determining my experience today. And the only way to go back into peeling all the layers of everything that I have surrounded with, I need to go back to all these subconscious and archetypal experience and leanings, and to understand them and to decide exactly what long-term I'm willing to go and move myself forward to. Because once we go through life and we make all our experience, we are going to understand that actually what is left after us is not so unique. It is some type of an archetypal journey that we have made as an imprint, because this is what we long-term have chosen to express here in this reality. So it is very important then to learn and to make a conscious decision what type of identities we are willing to embrace, what type of archetypes we are willing to clothe ourselves with, and of course, long-term are going to express On the relationship level, there are several archetypes also there, which are constantly making the subconscious decisions for us. And actually, in humanity, in the moment, there are at least 4 types of archetypes through which we, the human beings, are interacting with each other. And it looks like that we are speaking 4 different languages. Also, one of the common way of the 2 basic energies of male and female energy that are expressing an archetypal nature also in different way is also seen that a lot of times these different types of energy cannot understand each other, and all these type of archetypal leanings are happening on different levels in every area of our life, not only in the relationship. And it is very interesting to start noticing how the energy of us and within us is expressing through different type of archetypes. And actually, it is very interesting because then we can say, Alex, then why and how can I express myself and my authenticity, and how can I express my uniqueness? Because the only way to go to our essence is to go through our center of our inner being, to understand our nakedness. And it is not possible to actually express 100% our naked essence in the outside reality. So we are little by little choosing between the different clothing depending on the people and the relationship we are having, in order to long-term express what we actually want to express. And of course, in the spiritual realm, in the invisible realm, where are all the different stories of gods and things that have existed in the past until now. All the time the human beings was trying to align themselves with different type of archetypal expressions, which are maybe long-term going to help them to control reality or to be aligned and merge themselves with reality so that they're able to perform better. And that's why in the past, a lot of God type of archetypes were existing, and depending on how we, the human beings, were aligning with the different type of existence of the different type of characteristics of different type of archetypes of gods and so on and so on, the human beings were behaving in different ways. Nowadays, it's much more not seen on the surface, but still we as human beings are actually not so unique, and we are actually embracing some different types of archetypes to which we are expressing ourselves, even in the spiritual realm, even in the unseen realm, where we are seeking, where we are thinking, and so on and so on. Some of us think that the human being is the center and nothing else exists. So we are actually the existence, we are the creation, we are the generation of the experience, and so on and so on. And you can embrace this type of archetypes and can continue expressing yourself in reality through this way. But the important thing is long-term to always validate, because reality is not what is in my head. Reality is not my perception about what is the outside objectivity, but reality is actually things and construct as it actually is. And the problem is that more of the human beings don't understand it, cannot trust it, cannot lean on what is unseen and what is causing everything seen. That's why we are trying to hide and to go into the different type of quoting and archetypes that are comfortable to us and are trying to express in this way, and to see if things are workable or not workable, if these interactions with reality then is functional or non-functional. So little by experience, by experimenting, we see what type of archetypal clothing is suiting us and is making workable reality for all of us. For me personally, I have decided, not based on 100% my conscious experience, but because of when I was 17 years old, I believed in the existence of something more than ourselves, in the creator, and so on and so on. Then I became a Christian. And from this moment forward, I don't go after a religion as very strongly into indoctrinating myself, though I have read a lot of things, but mostly I want to understand what is behind all of this, and I want to understand like human in my essence and my creator, and to know much more about how I'm functionally existing with the creator's will into this reality. So I have a lot of questions that I'm constantly asking and searching. And what I have found out, that instead of only going, of course, I'm reading constantly the biblical texts and I'm extracting a lot of information, but also when I look daily into the reality, and when you constantly think about what is beyond and how, from the perspective of the creator, things are working, you can see all the instructions, all the recipes, everything that is supporting us. You and I can start seeing everything is written all the time around us, and all the instructions are out there in the unseen, and all of us through intuition knows exactly what are the right directions toward which we are long-term willing and are needing to go. Of course, the result of us being more and more aligned with the primary archetype is going to give us much more functionality, much more long-term interaction, and then we are going to long-term be actually much more involved with reality, instead of going in the other direction where we are disconnecting ourselves, where we go into our dreams and start living for something after, and start experiencing and waiting for what is going to happen after we are finishing our experience here on this realm. And this is a very deep topic, of course. I'm just starting in the last 2 years in this exploration, but what I see is that actually what we can choose is the different type of archetypal clothing that we want to express our essence through. And for myself personally, I have chosen to express myself from the Christ consciousness archetypal leaning, and to align my intent with this in order to better understand the necessity for the human being to be long-term fixed and come back to the balance and the center and the knowingness and the connection with source, and to understand much more deeply why we are created in such a way that we are able to fully and 100% exist as human beings only when we are connected to source, and only then the flows of life and the interaction with reality is starting to move forward into directions that we cannot even imagine long-term for ourselves. So this is a very small part of how I'm revealing myself to you, and why long-term I'm choosing different type of archetypal expressions through which my psyche is willingly expressing itself. Of course, everyone has a free will to decide what he is long-term going to express, what type of clothing he is going to wear. But if any one of you decides to change his behavior or to start expressing differently, anyhow, you need to change and to know that there are these possibilities available we as human beings to actually change our archetypal leaning and to have new type of archetypal experience here on this experience and in this realm. So thank you for watching today. It is just a small marking of something that is very strongly able, and I'm exploring and I'm developing myself in this area of understanding more. It helps me to later much more and much well to understand all of you, to know what is behind everything that you are doing and I'm doing, and to understand better the behaviors, because behind the behaviors are hidden the archetypal expressions, and then only layers upon layers upon layers in deep down into the center is actually mine and your real essence, which is the precious thing of all of us. So thank you for watching today. Enjoy your reality. Go further deep down into the deepness of the construct of reality. And I hope all of us, by learning, by understanding, by daring, are going to express much more of our limitless being and potential. Bye-bye and have a nice day.